have a feeling you might have edited the wrong session template. So yeah, let me bring up a chart here. And we'll start talking about Ninja session templates here. Just at least I'll cover it briefly. So there's a little bit, I guess, confusion or disconnect between the time solver here. So we have a time session solver. Let me add that on here. All right. And so the session solver, or the time, I should say, the time session solver in BloodHound uses NinjaTrader's session manager. So, and a session it's really all it is it's just a block of time. It's laying out blocks of time. In other words, when does the market open, on any day of the week, and when does the market close on that day of the week. So, but in BloodHound, we're using the session manager so that you can create, your own custom blocks of time that, typically you'll use those blocks of time to isolate or allow trade signals only during those blocks of time, right? So typically the time session solver, is used to limit when the BloodHound signals can fire off, right? So like typically you may not want to see BloodHound signals, when the markets are closed after hours. So that's like a good typical use of the time session solver. But also, maybe you're just, whatever, depending on the instrument that you're trading, maybe you only want, maybe you only trade in the early morning. That's when your instrument performs best. So you may want to create a block of time just early in the morning. Say I've got some already built here, from previous workshops. So say you only trade during 8 to 9. Well, actually, that's 8 to 9:30 p.m. Let's do this one. Say you only trade from 10 to 12 in the morning. So you might want to set up a time session that only shows you Monday through Friday from 10 until 12, until noon. So 10 a.m. to noon, right? So if I select that, now if we look at the chart, we can see, right, the time session solver, it has this block of time here, between 10 or between well, actually it's 8 my time. Got to always remember to keep an eye on the time zone here. So the time zone is actually Eastern time. Oops, sorry, that's right. Yeah, it's one little quirk about the session manager is if you open it up again, you got to go select your custom session time. So there. Oh, hold on, wrong one. There we go. 10 a.m. to noon, and yeah, so we can see that the time zone is on Eastern time, right? And so I'm on Mountain time. So there's a 2-hour difference here, right? So 10 a.m. is 8 a.m. on my time. But so getting back to the point, we can see that the time solver, if you connected this time solver into the rest of your trade signal logic, it would only allow signals to get to be seen or pass through, between 8 and 10, at least my time would be 8 and 10 my time, or 10 to 12 Eastern time. So if you're needing a custom block of time, what you need to do is make a new session. You want to make a new session here. So because this is NinjaTrader Session Manager, you could, you can go in here and edit the default times here. So, so you can see right now I'm on the default 24/7, and I could go in and edit that to edit one of the built-in sessions here from Ninja. Yeah, you need to click on one of the rows first, and then you can click edit. Right, so you can see I can go in here and I can edit the default 24/7. And of course, if you do that, well, that would affect the times that you see on the chart if your chart is using the default 24/7. Right, so let's just see. Let's see what I have on the chart here. All right, so my chart is using the default 24/7. All right, so if I go in and if I edit my default 24/7, so let's edit Friday. Let's edit today. And so let's say I change this from 8 until 11. Let's cut it off 11, right? So we'll just show 3 hours here. I click OK. And hold on. Actually, that is Saturday. Let me switch this to Friday. There we go. So Friday, 8 a.m. to Friday, 11 a.m. And remember, these are Eastern times. So on my chart, it's going to show from 6 to 9. 6 to 9 a.m. 2-hour difference from Eastern time zone. So let me save it. Click OK. And let's see here. All right, and let's see if I can get my chart to refresh. Actually, yeah, we'll just do this. Let's see, before I shut down, let's save our BloodHound template. All right, today's the 24th. There we go. Okay, so we have our today's BloodHound template saved there. All right, I'll close that. That saves it back to the file. And now I'm safe to shut down Ninja here. So let's shut everything down. All right, let me connect back to my data feed. All right, so now if we look at my chart, right, you can see the dashed gray line there. So that's the session change. So that's midnight there. And so we can see the first bar starts at 6 a.m. Right, so basically, because BloodHound opens up Ninja's session manager, you can, that gives you the ability to edit NinjaTrader's built-in sessions, right? So let's open this up here again, right? So when you click on, when you open the sessions here, when you click on this session manager, this is the same as going to your control center, going to tools, and right there, session manager. So if I click that, right, it's opened up the same session manager. So just be aware, you guys, don't go in. I would suggest that you do not edit any of NinjaTrader's, default sessions. Now, if you do, you'll have to correct them yourself. I think there's a way that you can reset these, but I don't remember off the top of my head how to do that. So if you do need your sessions, if you need the default sessions reset or basically restored back to their defaults, contact NinjaTrader support and ask them, if there's an easy way to do that. So I believe there is, but I don't recall what it is off the top of my head. Let me go back and fix my session here. So I need to restore it back what it was. So let's see, 12 a.m. Yep, to 12 a.m. Let's go Saturday. Save it. And there we go. Okay, good. So my session is back to normal. All right. I'll just hit save one more time just in case. And so I'll go select, one of the custom sessions that I've created in the past there. And let's see if reloading historical data will update the session on the chart. And yeah, it looks like it did. Okay, great. Great. Yep. So what I did is I went in and reloaded all historical data for my chart, and that also updated the session template when I restored it back. So all right, so let's see. I think that's probably what Jack had inadvertently done. Yeah, to a session there. All right, so good. Looks like Jack got it. Okay, so let's see what other questions we got here. Let's see. So Jack would like to know how to detect a range bar without wicks. So I guess another way of saying that would be a full range bar. So let's say, for example, these two range bars, right? They're full range bars with no wick, or full body, right? A full-bodied range bar. I guess that's a good way of putting it. Right, and we want to filter out those. Right, so we don't want those. But we would want to detect that bar, and we'd want to detect that bar, right? The full body range bars there. All right, so let's start working on the logic template here to do this. All right, let's see. Give this a name here. All right, I'm just going to call it full body candle. Well, let's see. Just kind of thinking, there's different ways I could do this. Yeah, I'll make this more universal, so detects a full body candle. So it'll work on other things than range bars as well. So, my original thought was, with the range bar, we know exactly what the range is, or we know exactly what the length of the body is. So on my chart, I have 5 range, so the open to the close should be 5 ticks. If the open to the close is less than 5 ticks, then we know it's not a full body. So I was just going to measure, the distance between the open and close, but instead, let me pull up a comparison solver here first, right? So we have these differences, right? And so my original thought was I was just going to measure 5 ticks, right? And of course, if I was measuring the open to the close to make sure it was 5 ticks, well, if I went from a 5 range to a 10 range, I'd have to go in here and edit my solver to match whatever the range bar setting is. So if I switch to a 10 range bar, I'd actually have to edit the solver and switch it to 10 ticks. So that was my first thought of how I'd accomplish this. But But there's another way, so I can make it more universal, so it just detects a full body candle on any chart without any adjustments. And so what I'm going to do is set those to 0 ticks. So another way to approach this is when we're looking at a bar, so I'm going to use these two over here. Stretch this way out. So for this up bar, the open and the low equal each other. Right? The open and the low equal each other. So I can just compare the open to the low. And then the top of the bar, well, that's the high of the bar and that's the close of the bar. So I can make sure that the high and the close of the bar equal each other. Right? So that's how I can do that for an up bar. And for a down bar, right, I could make sure that the high equals the open and the low equals the close for a down bar. Right? So doing the universal way has more comparisons that have to be done versus just checking the distance between the open and close of the body. You know, so I'd have to use one comparison solver for an up bar and another comparison solver for a down bar. So let's work on up bars first. All right, let's see. So all right, so I'm naming this the full body up bar. And so what we're doing is we're comparing prices. So we're going to set input A to price, and we're going to set input B to price, like so. Let me kind of get things adjusted a little bit here. So now that we have our input set to price, now let's figure out what prices are we looking at. Let's see. So let's compare the high to the close, and we're going to compare the low down here to the open, like so. All right. So just a little tip here. You can use your keyboard to select prices. So if I wanted to change that open back to the close, I could just hit C on my keyboard. So, right, a little quicker than having to use a pull-down menu. So I could just use the pull-down menu to find the open, or I can click A, it'll take me to the ask, B, it'll take me to the bid, you know, like that. So anyways, a little tip there. Use your keyboard. And so use your keyboard and you just type the first letter that you're looking for there. First letter of the word that you're looking for. All right, so anyway, so we're comparing the high to the close, and we'll compare the, not the last. So yeah, keep in mind, there's two words that start with L. There's last and low. There we go. So let's make sure we have the low selected there. So there we go. Comparing the low to the open, right? And so that's an up bar. So there you go. The low and the open equal each other. The high and the close equal each other. All right, so we got that. Now, we need to adjust our outputs here. Right, so for our outputs, we're not looking for input A to be greater than input B. Remember, we want the high to equal the close, and we want the low to equal the open. Right, so we don't want this greater than. We actually want A equals B right here. So we're going to set that to 1, and we're going to set the others to 0. We'll turn the others off. there. Okay. So now you'll notice with up bars we get a long and a short at the same time, right? Because a full-bodied candle, you know, that's kind of a non-directional condition. A full-bodied candle is non-directional. Of course, you can't apply a direction to it. We could say, well, you know, that's an up bar, so let's. But just looking at the actual condition that was asked is let's detect full-bodied candles. So that's really a non-directional kind of condition, you know. And then you can add a secondary condition to say, well, is this an up bar or a down bar? So, but a full-bodied candle, I'd say, is technically a non-directional condition. So here we go. We have two other full-bodied up candles, and you can see we have a long and a short output for them. So, and then we have some other, we have some other bars here that have a long output, only a long output, and we want to get rid of those, right? We want to get rid of this long output here, right? Because those are not full-bodied candles, right? These are not full-bodied candles here. So we want to get rid of those. And the way we can do that is we just isolate the bars that have a long and a short output. Right? So you can see there's three bars here on my chart that have a long and a short output. And you know, we'd also want to get rid of this. And what's going on here? Huh. Ninja won't let me go past that. That's weird. Alright, there we go. So we want to get rid of that short only output as well, because that's a doji. Right? So the way we can do this is we can use a long short modifier to do this. And what we're going to do is, for the mode, we're going to use product, which is multiplication. So the product, what it does is it takes the output of the long side and multiplies it by the output of the short side. Right? Product is multiplication. So if we look at the solver here, so here, let's take a look at the short only output over here on the right of my chart. So, right, our long short modifier set to mode product, which is multiplication. What it's doing is it's taking the long output, which is 0, and it's multiplying it times the short output, which is 1. And so 0 times 1 is 0, or 0 times anything is 0, right? So with these, with the long output here, right, the short is set to 0. So 0 times the long output is going to be 0. And so that is how the long short modifier is able to isolate bars that have long and short outputs there. Right? So, all right, I'm just going to rename the solver here to product, since that's what it's doing. So, you know, I guess you could also rename this to, you know, isolate up bars, something like that, if you wanted to. So let's shrink the chart up a little bit. There we go. Take a little more of a look. So now we can see all the full-bodied up bars are marked. So now we just need to create another comparison solver, and we'll set the prices up so that it works for a down candle. So let's grab another comparison solver, and I'll plug this in. Alright, let's give this a name. Alright, so full body down bar is what we're looking for next. So let's change our inputs to price again. There we go. And let's take a look at the prices we're looking at here. So we're comparing the high to the open of the bar. So let's we'll put this at high, and then the short, we'll use that to look at the low of the bar. So again, so we're going to compare the high to the open of the bar. So I need to change the close to the open. There we go. And the bottom of the bar, well, that's the close of the bar, and that's also the low of the bar. So there we go. So up here in A, I set that to the low, and down here in input B, I set that to the close. And the next thing we need to do is adjust our outputs again, right? So we're using we want to use the A equals B output there. All right, let's take a look at our chart. And there we go, full-bodied down candle. All right, we'll have to get rid of this long signal here for this doji. And we'll get rid of this long signal here with another function node, another long short function node. All right, there's another down, a full-body down bar, full-body down bar, and we can see we're getting a long and a short at the same time. All right, we'll need the long short modifier node. We'll get rid of this short only. You'll get rid of that short only there. There's another full body down bar marked. And yeah, everything else over here is just a bunch of wicked bars. So we'll get rid of those as well. All right, so again, we'll grab another long short modifier. And then change our mode to product, and I'm just going to hit the P on my keyboard to go to product. There we go. And let's take a look at the chart again. So, all right, it all looks good. So all this output here, that was all removed, right? That was removed. And all we're left with are the full-bodied down bars. Okay, let's clean up the chart there. Now, last step is we need to take those two solvers, or these. We need to group these two conditions together here into an OR node, like so. And there we go. All right, just scroll through the chart a little bit, make sure everything looks good. Yep, all looks good. All right, and we'll take this a step further. So let's say you wanted to just filter this further, and so down bars you only want a short, up bars you only want a long output, right? So we can grab a bar direction, a AND node, like so. Plug that in there, and just let's get this chart here visible. There we go. So as soon as I connect the bar direction solver in, there we go. Now we have a directional output. All right, so Jack would like to see both methods. So we'll make another comparison solver and show the other, I guess my original thought on how, on how I was going to approach this by, right, my original thought was I was going to measure the open to the close or the close to the open and make sure that we had a distance of 5 ticks. Since I'm using a 5 range, I know that a full body candle would have a 5 tick distance from the open to the close. So let's grab another comparison solver like so, and we'll connect that up, come up with some kind of a name here. Alright, so open to the close will be 5 ticks, something like that. Alright, so again, we're dealing with price. So we're going to set input A and B to price. Our difference needs to be 5 ticks. Alright, so we need the open to be, we need the open and the close to be separated by 5 ticks. So that's our difference there. And let's see here. I think this will work. Oh yeah, I guess I shouldn't have used oil. Oil is a crazy instrument. You notice how some of these are marked and some of them are not, right? So it looks like it's working, and then it looks like it's not working. And yeah, the crazy thing is oil is notorious for trading in less than a tick. Technically that should not be possible, but it happens all the time with oil. You'll see oil trading in 1/100th of a tick or 1/10th of a tick. So so you can get some crazy results with the oil. And so let's switch over to the YM. I've never seen the YM trade in less than a tick, but doesn't mean it doesn't happen. If oil can do it, I don't see why the other instruments wouldn't. And let's see here. Okay, there we go. That's what I'm expecting. All right. So there we go. We got 3 full-bodied candles right there. Okay, and we can see there's no output. So let's go back to our solver, and we're going to make a minor adjustment here. Now, if you look at the description for the output here, you see it says A greater than B. It doesn't say A greater or equal to B. It doesn't say A is greater or equal to B. It says A is greater than B. So what we'll need to do is just knock this down 1/10. Right? So there we go. Knock it down 1/10, and bingo. Now we've got everything marked here. Right? Interesting. And so yeah, looking at this, the output is actually reversed. So let's go and change our prices in here. There we go. All right. So I'll just put the closing price in input A, and I put the open in input B. And so now here we go. So up bars have a long output, down bars have a short output. All right. So there we go. And so the key is, if you change from a 5 range bar to some other number, you just have to go in here and adjust your distances according to the bar size that you're looking at. That is the 2 different ways of doing it. Let's see, Jack is asking, what do I think is more reliable? I would say this more universal method is more reliable because it's universal. All right, so yeah, I was looking through the emails, and I found a couple of questions here. They weren't specifically written for the for these workshops, but I thought they were good questions that I could address during the workshop here, just to kind of just to have some more questions to answer in the workshop here. So let's do question number 1. It's really a question for Blackbird, but the question actually pertains to building a signal in BloodHound. So we'll do the BloodHound part today, and then next Thursday we might use the same question in the Blackbird workshop. So for the BloodHound component, so the question is, he wants to open a position at the close of a 1-minute bar at a particular time. So the question really pertains to a particular time, and so he's just got 9:32 as an example. So to fire off a trade at 9:32 in Blackbird, first we have to create the trade signal for Blackbird, and that's what BloodHound does. All right, BloodHound generates the trade signals, and then Blackbird actually executes the signals. Right, so there's with all charting software, there's 2 components. There's indicators, and indicators kind of do all the math, do all the fancy math and calculations and stuff that kind of generate your signals. And then strategies, that class is there to actually execute trades, to actually submit your entry order and submit and control your stop losses and your profit targets and orders, right? So indicators deal with doing the calculations and the math and all that. Strategies deal with managing and manipulating your trade orders. So all right, so in BloodHound, let's figure out how to generate a signal at 9:32. Right, so let's see. Let me create a new logic template here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put an indicator on the chart. So this is one of the newest free indicators that we've packaged with our software, and it is called, let me find it here, the SiTimeBlock. So the SiTimeBlock was created to overcome some limitations with Ninja's session manager. Right, so as you guys saw a demonstration with the time session solver in BloodHound, right, and that uses session managers. So there are some kind of limitations with using the time solver and session managers. So using this indicator has a lot more output. It has a lot more data output to kind of overcome some limitations here. So let's put this on here. And so let's see. Let's just change my start time to 9:32. Just like that. And next thing we'll decide is, do we want our block of time? Do we want it on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, or not? So by default, Monday through Friday is set to true, so it's on. Sunday is set to false, it's off. So really, that's all you do. So if you need a specific block of time, you can put that block of time in there, and this indicator has a bunch of outputs. So just keep note that I set my start time to 9:32. The way I'm going to use this indicator, my end time doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what I set my end time to. So I'm just going to leave it alone at its default because I don't care. I'm just going to use the start time of 9:32 here. Okay, so let's put that on the chart. And you'll notice, and let's switch to minute charts. Now, keep in mind that the time block indicator does not have a time zone setting in here, right? So these times are always going to match your computer's local time, right? So if you're in Europe, you'll have to adjust. You'll set these times to when the markets are open in Europe. So if your computer is set to Europe, I imagine. So I know some European traders will actually set their computer to Eastern time, and that makes a lot of sense. So in which case you would set your times here to Eastern time if your computer is set to Eastern time, right? So again, the start time and the end time, these are based off of your computer's time zone. So whatever you set your computer to, that's what these are going to operate on. So yeah, whenever you're dealing with times, you always got to deal with time zones, right? It gets confusing, but all right. So let's see. So you notice the color changes at 9:32, right? So yellow was I believe, yellow is the before the time block. Yellow is, let's see, you'll notice the indicator has some colors here. So we have a before time, which is defaults to yellow. Between the start and the end is gray or silver, and after is set to purple or thistle. So let me just, I'll just turn those off. So we'll just look at the between time. There we go. All right, so now let's take a look at this indicator inside of BloodHound. All right, so inside of BloodHound is where the time block indicator really begins to have a lot more functionality. So we're going to use a threshold solver for this. And all right, so I'll just say, I'll call this what it's going to do. So signal at 9:32. All right, so next we need to set up a time block indicator in here. There it is. All right, so I need to set up my indicator settings. So let's put 9:32 in there. That's what's important. I could ignore the colors there. And so again, so here's the power of the time block indicator. There is a earlier workshop that goes into full detail of the time block indicator. So when we first released the time block indicator, excuse me, when we first released the time block indicator, I gave a full explanation of all of these various outputs here. So I won't go into them again, but what we're going to use is the start bar. Is it the start bar? So on my chart with the arrow, I have the start bar marked with my arrow here, and we can see that's when the color starts, right? That's when the start time starts, and so that's what we want to know. Is we want to know when we're on the start bar, right? The start bar is our start time, right? That's the bar of our start time. That would be our start bar. Now the end time, well, that would be the end bar, are we on the end bar, or is this the end bar? Is this the start bar? So you'll notice that these are bull series. Bull series is a true false. So when we're on the bar of our start time, when we're on the bar of our start time, that is the start bar, and that would become true. So this bull series would become true when we're on the start bar. So otherwise, this bull series is going to be false on every other bar. So we can so you can detect some other things as well. Like, are we between the times? Are we between the start time and the end time? Are we after? So like this between times would be like the silver colored area, right? The before start, that would be the right here, before start, that would be the yellow, which I turned the yellow off on my chart, but so that's what all these bull series is. They tell you they'll turn true, when these kind of conditions are true. So, all right. Anyways, let's just so that's what we're interested in, is the start bar. Click OK. And next thing is we need to select an output. So, yeah. So I believe the person who asked this question. Okay, yeah. So in the question he gave a long signal, or a long signal as the example. So with the solver, we'll just set the long output, so greater than A. So I'll just cover real quickly. When we're dealing with a bull series is either that's true or false. So that's either 0 or 1. All right, 0 is false, 1 means true. So whenever that bull series is true, it's going to equal 1. And so we're looking for an output that's greater than A. A is 0. So an output greater than 0, well, that would be 1, or that would be true. Right? The bull series would be true or 1. So for the long output, just set the greater than, set it to 1. And we're done. We got a long signal there. So, if we wanted to add, say this person wanted to add other trade, like some trend conditions, so that they're trading with the trend or something like that, then you'd also want to turn the short side on, right? So now we're getting a long and a short, and then you would take this solver and plug it in with the rest of your logic that's determining, so you have some other logic here that would be determining the trend, and that trend filter would filter out whether you're going to take a long trade or a short trade. So, just to give a simple example here, yeah, let's just use a bar direction. So, really simple example is, let's just say at 9:32 we want to take a trade in the direction of the bar, right? So I'm just using this one bar direction solver as my kind of trend, or as my trade logic, just to simplify things. But this would really be, your trade signal logic. Plug that in there, and there we go. So this was a down bar, so it generated a short signal, like so. Right? So just as a simple example there. But really, the key to the question that's asked is this threshold solver and using the time block indicator. So, another common use for this time block indicator is a lot of people want to reset. They might want to reset things like a signal blocker, You know, yeah, I guess, yeah, a signal blocker would be, yeah, I guess the most commonly used. So people might want to reset a signal blocker at midnight. So some people have complex logic that, you know, allows a few trades to go through during the morning, and then they, you know, after a few trades, they want to block the rest of the signals for the rest of the day, but they want it to reset at midnight, so that way the next day they'll get their signals again. and so this time block indicator is great for doing that, right? I can go in here and you know, I could set my start time or end time at midnight. So actually, let me just, I'll set my end time at midnight, and let's see, not valid. Oh, yeah, that's right. C# doesn't allow midnight there. Oh, that's right. Midnight is 00. Yeah, so that's what C# allows. Yeah, 00. So that's midnight, the start of the day, right? And so what I could do is I could select is end bar. Go down here, and so my end time is set at the beginning of the day or midnight, and that would be the end bar. So let's scroll through the chart and find that. Let's make these bars a little wider. There we go. And looks like it didn't catch it. All right, let's go back in here. And all right, let's try switching this. Let's set the start time to 00. See if that works. All right, let's switch back to the start bar. And well, shoot, I'm not sure what happened here. I've shown this example many times. Oh, yeah, that's right. There is also a first bar of the day. So that'll mark midnight for you. Yeah, I'm not sure why setting, see, 00 should be the end of the day. I could do something like that. Let's see here. Let's go back to the start bar. And there we go. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. That doesn't work on 00 bar, but there we go. So the first minute bar of the day, that works. But also, that's right. Down here, the first bar of the day, right? So that would be like your midnight bar as well. There we go. So that's marking the 00 bar. There we go. That's marking the 0 minute bar. So that gets us going. Yep. Right. So there's you know, several ways you can accomplish the same thing. Right. So I'm just gonna put this back to kind of the default settings there, like so. Right. Yeah. So hold on. yeah, I still have the first bar of the day selected, so let me move it back to the start bar and leave this in its proper configuration for the question. Question number 2. All right, this is a nesting question. So in this example, right, this person wants to use the slope solver, but the key is they're using the EMA of the bar's high. So he's using the high price in the EMA, right? So let's see here. Let's get this on the chart. All right, so I've got an EMA 20 period, right? My default's to 20 period, and so we want to put the high price into this EMA. So let's change our input series, and oh, there we go. Just select the high price, and there we go. So we're plugging the high of the bar into the EMA. There we go. So there's the EMA of the high price. And so to do that in BloodHound, so what that's called is, let me go back to the indicator here. So NinjaTrader calls it the input series, which that's a good name. But also another term for this is called nesting. So we're nesting the high price into that. I guess nesting makes a little more sense if you're, say, like if you're taking another indicator. So we're taking the value of an indicator and then nesting it into the EMA, right? That makes a little more sense as far as word definitions go. But in any case, so Ninja calls it the input series, and let's get rid of that. There we go. And in BloodHound, we call it nesting here. So let's grab a slope solver, plug that in. So this is an EMA 20 using the high price. So let's go into our indicator here. All right, let's go find the EMA. There it is. Add that. So you'll notice this nest input, right? Nest input. So what we're going to do is we're going to take Chameleon. So SiChameleon. So Chameleon was created to, if you look at the plots, it was created to gain access to all the different price data that NinjaTrader provides. So what we're going to do is we're going to take Chameleon and nest it into the EMA. So you can see we have Chameleon and it's being fed into our EMA. So we can see our EMA contains Chameleon here inside of it. Right? And then with Chameleon, we can select whatever price we want to use. So, right, the high price is at the top, and so that's already selected. But if we wanted to use the mid price, we could select the mid price and generate the EMA of the mid price of the bar. All right. So we'll just leave it on the high price like so. That's all I had to do. So just use the nested right there. So with BloodHound, you can do all kinds of crazy nesting. I could take the stochastic RSI, so I could nest the stochastic RSI into Chameleon, into the EMA. You could just, there is no limitation, so you could, realistically kind of build some, kind of crazy useless nesting if you wanted to. It can be done. So doesn't mean you're going to get the results you expect, but you know, you can do all kinds of crazy nesting if you wanted to. So all right, so anyways, let's just leave this normal here. Click OK, and so there we go. So when our EMA is sloping down, right, we're going to get a short output from the slope solver. And when the EMA starts rising, we're going to get a long output from the slope solver. Then the EMA starts falling again, so we're getting a short output. So, all right, there we go. So that is how that's how you can nest different prices into an indicator. So yeah, that's kind of what Chameleon's all about. Is gives you access to all the different price data. Right? You can see the median, weighted, and typical prices are down there as well. So all right. Again, if you want if you want to understand what the formula is for these, special prices here, NinjaTrader's documentation provides the formula for these prices. So these prices come from NinjaTrader. So, all right. Well, that answers the 2 questions that I kind of had prepared that I pulled from emails. Yeah, we'll wrap it up there, guys.